Imagine the year 1909 in the heart of Belfast, Northern Ireland, where the construction of the greatest ship ever built begins. In the bustling Harland and Wolff shipyard, the birth of a marvel is underway. The Titanic, a ship destined to be the epitome of luxury and a testament to the pinnacle of human engineering. The grandeur of this ocean liner was unparalleled, a floating palace designed to cross the Atlantic in style and comfort. Over 3 years, thousands of men toiled day and night, hammering, welding and riveting to bring this colossal dream to life. Stretching nearly 900 feet long, equivalent to 3 football fields and rising as high as an 11-story building, the Titanic was not just any ship. It was the largest moving object built by mankind at that time. But it wasn't just the sheer size that made Titanic a marvel. It was the most technologically advanced ship of its era. Equipped with state-of-the-art navigational equipment and powered by massive steam engines, it was a beacon of human achievement. For safety, it boasted of 16 watertight compartments, designed to keep the ship afloat even if 4 were flooded. This led to the widely held belief that the Titanic was unsinkable. Beyond the technical marvel, Titanic was the epitome of luxury. It boasted opulent interiors, inspired by the finest hotels of Paris and London. The first-class accommodations were a wonder on their own, featuring grand dining rooms, plush private suites, a gymnasium, a swimming pool, and even a Turkish bath. It was a floating city of comfort and elegance, designed to cater to the world's wealthiest. After thousands of hours of work, innumerable challenges and a considerable investment of over $7 million, the Titanic was complete. A grand spectacle, it was hailed as the ship of dreams, a symbol of human ambition and technological prowess. An epitome of luxury and human engineering, the Titanic was ready to set sail, unbeknownst of the fate that awaited it. April 10, 1912, a date marked in history as the commencement of Titanic's maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City. As the colossal ship set sail, the air was thick with anticipation. Over 2,200 souls from all walks of life were on board, each with their own hopes and dreams for this journey. From the wealthiest tycoons and socialites of the era to immigrants hoping for a fresh start in America, the Titanic was a microcosm of society. The ship's first-class accommodations were the epitome of luxury. Ornate suites, a grand staircase, a gymnasium, swimming pool, libraries and high-class restaurants were just a few of the opulent offerings available to the elite passengers. They reveled in the extravagance, enjoying the finest foods, wines and entertainment. In stark contrast, the third-class passengers, though their quarters were modest, were grateful for the opportunity. Their accommodations, though humble, were still superior to those of most other ships at the time. They shared their stories, played music, and held on to the promise of a new beginning. The journey began without a hitch. The Titanic, touted as an unsinkable marvel of modern engineering, glided effortlessly through the calm waters. The passengers, unaware of the fate that awaited them, reveled in the novelty of the voyage. The ship was a spectacle to behold, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. As the sun set on the 4th day of the voyage, the atmosphere was electric. Laughter echoed through the halls, glasses clinked in celebration, children ran amok, their innocent laughter rising above the hum of conversation. The ship was a cocoon of warmth and joy, insulated from the cold, indifferent sea that surrounded it. However, beneath the celebratory veneer, the ship was hurtling towards a destiny that would forever etch its name in the annals of history. The voyage was smooth, the spirits high, but the sea had other plans. The night of April 14, 1912, a night that would be remembered as one of the most tragic in maritime history. As the Titanic sailed through the icy waters of the North Atlantic, its passengers were unaware of the imminent danger. It was a clear, moonless night, but the sea was calm, deceptively serene. The ship was moving at a high speed despite having received multiple iceberg warnings throughout the day. But confidence in the ship's advanced technology and the so-called unsinkability led to a sense of complacency. Then, at about 20 minutes before midnight, the unexpected happened. Lookouts spotted an iceberg dead ahead. Despite their quick response, the ship's massive size and momentum made it impossible to dodge the obstacle completely. The Titanic's starboard side scraped against the iceberg, the sound of tearing metal echoing in the cold night. On the bridge, Captain Edward Smith and his officers felt the collision but did not fully comprehend the magnitude of the disaster. The initial reaction was one of disbelief. The Titanic, the marvel of the Edwardian age, damaged by an iceberg? It seemed preposterous. The ship was deemed unsinkable, fortified by 16 watertight compartments designed to keep her afloat even in the worst-case scenario. However, the Iceberg had dealt a devastating blow. The collision caused the hull plates to buckle inwards along her starboard side and opened 5 of her 16 watertight compartments to the sea. The design could withstand the first 4 compartments being flooded, but not 5. Attempts were made to assess the damage, but it was soon apparent that the collision had been catastrophic. The water was rising rapidly, and the pumps were unable to keep up. The unsinkable ship was in fact sinking. In the early hours of April 15th, the tragic realization dawned on the crew and the passengers. Despite the belief in her invincibility, the Titanic was vulnerable, and she was sinking. The unsinkable had been struck, and a tragic realization dawned. Titanic was sinking. In the cold, dark hours that followed, a tale of panic, courage, and sacrifice unfolded. The Titanic, once a symbol of human ingenuity and ambition, now lay mortally wounded, its fate sealed by an iceberg's fatal kiss. The ship began to sink slowly. First, the bow dipped beneath the surface, followed by the forward deck. The process was agonizingly slow, a dreadful spectacle that lasted over 2 hours. Imagine standing on a tilting deck, watching the lights of your once majestic vessel flicker and fade, feeling the icy grip of the Atlantic creeping ever higher. The lifeboat situation was dire. There were only enough boats to save about half of the people on board. Many were launched underfilled, a tragic waste in the face of such need. Some passengers, paralyzed by disbelief or fear, refused to leave the ship until it was too late. Others fought for a place, their desperation a stark contrast to the calm night around them. The reaction of the passengers was a microcosm of humanity itself. There were acts of heroism, men who gave up their seats, women who chose to stay with their husbands, crew members who worked tirelessly to launch the lifeboats. Yet there were also scenes of heart-wrenching despair and unfathomable fear. The rescue efforts were marked by a similar dichotomy. The Carpathia, responding to Titanic's distress calls, raced through the ice field to reach the disaster site. The ship's crew worked feverishly, pulling survivors from the lifeboats, offering them warmth and comfort. Yet for over 1,500 souls, help arrived too late. And then, the final moments. The stern rose high into the night, the ship's lights blinked out, and with a final resounding groan, the Titanic slipped beneath the waves. A silence fell over the scene, broken only by the cries of those left in the freezing water. As the sun rose on April 15th, the Titanic was no more, leaving behind a sea of grieving hearts and a legacy of lessons. The sinking of the Titanic wasn't just a disaster, it was a turning point in maritime history. The world was left in shock and mourning as the news of the unsinkable ship's fate reached the shore. The loss of more than 1,500 lives in the icy waters of the Atlantic sent ripples across societies and governments alike, demanding immediate action and investigation. The United States and Britain launched separate inquiries into the disaster. The testimonies of survivors and crew members painted a vivid picture of the events, underscoring the lack of lifeboats, the absence of binoculars for the lookouts, and the disregard for ice warnings. These investigations led to the conclusion that the Titanic was sailing too fast in dangerous waters, a reckless decision that ultimately led to its doom. The public outcry was immense. The world demanded changes, and changes were made. In response to the disaster, the first International Convention for Safety of Life at Sea was held in 1913. This led to the establishment of the International Ice Patrol, an organization tasked with monitoring iceberg threats in the North Atlantic shipping lanes. The convention also resulted in new maritime laws and safety practices. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for all passengers. Iceberg tracking became a top priority. Radio communications were improved, and ships were obligated to respond to distress signals. The Titanic disaster was, in many ways, a catalyst for these sweeping changes in maritime safety. The Titanic's story didn't end at the bottom of the ocean. It lives on, not just as a tale of tragedy, but as a lesson for mankind. It was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that even the grandest of human creations can fall victim to nature's caprice. The Titanic, a symbol of human ambition and technological prowess, now rests at the bottom of the Atlantic, a poignant reminder of our vulnerability in the face of nature's might.